Briefly, so this talk tonight, we are very happy, first of all, to start again the public lectures. This is the first one for the year, and we are very honored and happy to have Professor Paul Wong to give this kind of inaugural lecture for the year 2012-2013. That's first of all a pleasure. A second thing is, of course, this is a very timely topic, as you've seen the titles, Rising China, and the different components trying to evaluate, to appraise the different components of this rising China. What does it mean to be world power for China, global power for China, as echoed in the past few days, especially with what has been going on. We saw this week the new aircraft carrier from Ukraine being launched and being revealed to the public, even though it's a training facility more than anything else. We have seen escalating tensions with Japan over the Diaoyutai, with China for the first time ever also putting the matter to the UN. So this is also something of interest regarding the topic tonight. So we are very, very pleased to have Professor Paul Wong presenting us tonight his ideas about the rise of China that has been deemed by China itself as a peaceful rise. So he will, of course, tell us more in a few minutes. So just in a few words, Professor Paul Wong is a professor at Macao University, which is a very famous university based in Tianjin, so in the north of China, and it's one of the very first modern university of China in the beginning. Started in the beginning of the 20th century. Started by very, very reformist minds in China, so that's something to be noted. He's also adjunct professor in Jilin University. And he's at the moment visiting our university as a visiting professor in our program of government studies. Professor Wong is a specialist of international relations. He has published numerous books on especially European diplomacy and American diplomacy. Of course, China is always present in his perspective and in his books, as not only as chapters, but of course as a core concern. So he's of course very well versed and very well positioned to tell us more about this peaceful rise, or this rise of a power that is China. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Paul Wong.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to say that thank you all of you. And I mentioned that this is a time for your dinner, but I very rudely, purposely keep you here. So I'm so sorry about that. I hope we can share my view. We can exchange our different opinions. We can try to reach a common ground. Our goal, my lecture, aims to build up a positive image of China, but not a propaganda. I just want to show you my personal view. And this is my first time to Macau, although Macau belongs to China for 500 years, but I legally returned to China just 10 or 15 years ago. And I'm surely, because this is my first time to Macau, and this is my first time to this beautiful university, USG. To be honest, I do regard this university is very, very prestigious for two reasons. As I told to my students in the classroom, here and in China, USG is new, is small. However, it's based on European legacy and Chinese vocation, or Far East vocation. The European legacy emphasizes humanities, liberal arts, personal advancement. Still keep that, because I got my PhD from University of Aberdeen in Scotland. I feel even today, and even in the coming decades, I cannot say century, but decades, European education concept is still dominant. Of course, America is richer, but as education institutions, the concepts, the ideas, values are more important than the money. But without money, we can do nothing. So if we have money, we can build a beautiful campus. But we still need money, but we much more need ideas, innovation. Second, the location is so good, Macau. Macau is small, but Macau is located close to mainland China and in the Far East and close to the ASEAN. This area is so-called the most dynamic economic financial center. So I think because this history and current location geography, our university, our institutions, USG, will have a bright future. I hope I put my fingers across and hope and God maybe, and I hope God bless us. As I mentioned that the location is so good because Macao is close and part of China. And China is regarded as one of the potentially three biggest political, economic, and technology centers in the 21st century. America is still there. Keep for how long? 20 years, 40 years, 1 century, nobody knows that. But after September 11, so America's power is declining. European Union has been more integrated and more power. However, over the past few years, European was threatened by the financial crisis. Only China seems to be rising continually, particularly economically, if you regarding China economic in terms of the GDP. So today, because of this, the rest of China has been a hot topic. The rest China or Russian China will be a responsible power to the world order, dominant or influenced by European concepts or institutions, or China will become a revolutionary power to overthrow or to challenge the status quo. So this is my topic. And as we often talk about that, to understand the international affairs, a basic knowledge of history is very important. As Kissinger wrote in his PhD thesis 40, 50 years, 60 years ago at Harvard, no sound policy could be obtained without the knowledge of history. That means without a good, solid knowledge of history, it is impossible for us to understand the current affairs. So why China has been so eager to be a great power at any cost, politically and strategically. So if we read the modern history, we understand that China since the mid-19th century, or particularly the later 19th century, when China was defeated by Europeanized, modernized Japan, China became weaker. China was determined to be a great power, model on Europe, model on America, model on Soviet Union. No matter what kind of model, they want to follow Western models. Yeah, Soviet Union is a communist country, but yes, the Russian culturally, maybe the people from Western Europe regarded Russia or Soviet Union is not a part of Europe, but actually, definitely, Soviet Union is a part of it. Russia is a part of Europe, and but that is my opinion. So, from a modern period, 19th century, mid-19th century, China has been eager to be a great power. Not go back to the traditional China, based on modern Europe, or Europeanized America, or Westernized, Europeanized Japan. So China followed the model of Europe. That to a certain extent, in 1930s, 20s, China, the European model means modernization. Modernization means Europeanization. Of course, this term is not used anymore. However, when you read the liberal arts social science, most ideas came from Europeans, historians, philosophers. If you talk about the theories of IR, how many Chinese, how many Japanese, almost from Europeans. Of course, many Americans, but even talk about Hans Morgenthau, George Kennan, and Henry Kissinger, they are still came from Europe because they are Jewish living in Germany. Yes, but anyway, I'm not both the Europe, but I just want to say that when we talk about the modern China, why China has been so eager to be a great power, because the modern humiliation at the hands of European powers, of course, by Japan, and also the Asian glory. These two forces have driven China to become or re-become a great power. So that is the basic background. So since then, China's central long dream to be a great power has been past the 3 stages. I don't know how to control this. Yes. Okay. And from mid-19th century until now, historically, I divide in 3 periods. First period, since late 19th century to the 1949, China passed the first stage. So national independence became the first task. This task was achieved by Chairman Mao and the communists in 1949. So after the next year, China was involved in the Korean War. China fought with America, and China was not defeated. Of course, in China, we say that we defeated America. But America never say that, no, Lee, do you believe you defeated America? They never. However, what's your definition of a defeat and success? In terms of politically, China was definitely not defeated because China was a weak power. Militarily, China definitely paid high cost. American 3 years Korean War, American casualty is about 50,000 something. China about 500,000 or million. But this is a very controversial figure. Yeah, some casualty died in the fields. Some casualty maybe they are hungry, died, injured. It's very different. But China paid a high cost politically. And since then, China was isolated, had been isolated for 20 years until 1971. So China had to depend on Soviet Union. So Soviet Union, but definitely Soviet Union helped China out in terms of the heavy industry, technology, space, missile, nuclear weapon. We cannot forget the help from the Soviet Union. So from 1949 to this period, China finished the national independence, but China was still very poor, very backward, socially, economically, even technologically. But China was still isolated from the UN. So as Chairman Mao stated, we are still not, we have no ID, we have no international ID number because UN didn't accept China. So China has been eager to join the UN. Finally, by the 1949, 1971, China had nuclear weapon. It's not powerful, but that means China has a nuclear weapon. Potentially, China owned, we say the strategic deterrence. Second, in 1970-71, Americans decided to open China. This opportunity, this visit, opened China to the world. So, according to Kissinger, Nixon talked to Chairman Mao, we recognize you as a great power because now you have nuclear weapon and you have a UN security veto power. You have 2 powers, but you are great power. But you need to understand that you need to show your responsibility. You cannot continue to support national liberation revolutions in Africa, in other countries. You need to be a responsible power. True, since then, China substantially reduced the military political aids to African, Latin American, so-called national liberation movements. China wants to be a status quo power. Even China entered the UN, China recognized by America and the Western world, China was still quite poor. Before I went to America in 1987, China had no highway. And one family, 3 or 4 people share one room, one apartment. That is very common. I got my master, I became a lecturer in 1985 at Nankai. My salary is about $12 each month. So China was pretty poor at that time. So since 1980s until today, China has been changed a lot. I returned back to China 2002, 2003. China has been changed. Highway system everywhere. And the professors who are teaching in the university must have a PhD. No matter PhD made in America, made in Japan, made in China, but you must have a PhD. However, American PhD is most valuable. British, Europeans are secondary. But anyway, that is another topic. So China changed a lot. So the third stage is the most important stage because according to Chinese Communist deadline, by 2049, China must be a great power, as equal in terms of GDP, as equal as America. Otherwise, Chinese ruling party, Communist party as a ruling party, will lose the legitimacy. So people will ask you, your Communist Party founding the PRC in 1949 takes about 1 century. China was still not a great power. But how can you say you are legitimate, capable leader? So that is China's goal. So people now talk about the China power based on China economic GDP. So it is true China now is a great power in terms of the conventional figures. For example, China has the second economy in the world, but that is depend on the GDP and figures. In terms of the innovation and in terms of the high technology, China is still behind Japan and Germany. Second, China has a big population. Population is the potential human resources, but the condition is that the population must be well-trained, well-educated. If they are not well-trained, well-educated, they might be the rats. The third that China has the biggest army. It is not very, very modernized, but it's still getting better. So according to American scholar David Shenbaum, Chinese army is better fed, better equipped, better trained than Russia. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Yeah, maybe I have a so strong feeling to the Soviet Union, but I don't think so. Yeah. So, but anyway, Chinese army compared to America may be behind, but China army is improving substantially. David Shenbaum and Harry Harding, they pay a lot of attention to Chinese army. Your army is very, very strong. But I don't know. The first is that the Chinese government understands they have a limited financial technology resources, so they invest the money into several key areas: space, nuclear weapon missile system, and cyber. When I was in Turkey to attend the conference, the Turkey Military Academy, the Deputy Secretary General of NATO openly said to me, we are concerned with China 3 things: improved nuclear capability, space, you develop too fast. Third, cyber. Chinese are too smart in mathematics. I say that is not me. I'm very proud high tech. But anyway, so in these 3 fields, Chinese government invested huge money. Over the past 10 years, Chinese space technology has been improved a lot. In terms of this, China is a great power because in terms of space technology, maybe China is better than Japan. Russia, America or Russia, China. So in terms, yeah, China. Also, in terms of the educational system, now America has 1,300 college or university. China has 1,089. Number of quite similar, but America has 200 the best national universities and the best liberal arts national liberal arts colleges, such as Kobe. In China, I don't want to make you disappointed. According to my standard, the Chinese good university, I think at 20 or 25. Yeah. Particularly if you talk about social science, liberal arts, humanities, much lower. Because definitely China pay more attention to the science and technology and the medicine. So that is my interpretation. But maybe wrong. Maybe I have been away from China for too long. Everything is American model. Harvard, Montana, Aberdeen. Maybe I'm wrong, but I try my best to evaluate the Chinese higher education. I think in terms of liberal arts, postgraduate level, maybe 20 or 25. So we have 1.3 billion people. So, but okay. And also, I think over the past 10 years, exact GDP economic growth, the most impressive is the infrastructure, highway, high-speed, overpass, everywhere. When I went to Brazil, to be honest, Brazil is a beautiful country, but in terms of the infrastructure, much different. Yes. And Brazil, India is the same thing. I never been India, but the Indian ambassador to Beijing gave a lecture at Nankai. He said he stayed in Beijing for 15 years, for 12 years. He witnessed Beijing overpass, highway, growing up every week, every month. But in his hometown, in New Delhi, 15 years, finished one overpass. Of course, some people say quality, but in China, as long as it belongs to the national projects, it is safe enough. Yeah, it's good enough, yes. And the highway system, high speed, if Emily and Father Peter go to China, go to Beijing or Tianjin or Beijing, I'll be very happy to invite them to go to Nankai. They will take the fast speed train, 120 kilometers, 29 minutes. Yes. And not only Beijing and Tianjin, Shanghai, Beijing, Shanghai. So the Chinese, maybe, I have a joke, maybe Chinese people are very good at building from a Great Wall 2,000 years ago. So, however, we cannot only accept, we cannot only count these hardware or powers or GDP or growth. We need to understand two things. First, suppose China become more and more powerful. Will China challenge the status quo or overthrow the American Western dominant international order, or China be a responsible power? Second, what are the major concerns for the Chinese leader and Chinese people? That is my major part of my topic. Yeah, my boss, how long can I talk? Can I talk another 10 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So because this is just an introduction. So, but I will try to, yes. China, okay, suppose, but nobody can guarantee China goes for continue for another 20 years, because even Chinese leaders, they are still unconcerned about what could happen in the next decade. So this is why in China they use two terms: maintain social stability, first priority, because why they're so concerned. Second, sustainable development. They understand at the beginning China was very poor, so development could be very fast. When you reach a level, you cannot maintain that speed. Even you want to maintain that pace, you have to create a so-called favorable, practical, social, harmonious, political, balanced, economic, even environment. They understand that, but in China, that is a big challenge. Over the past 10, 20, 30 years, China paid much attention to the GDP. But now they need to understand that only GDP, only the big, doesn't mean better. So this is, to say that I feel very sad, because China has a long history, 5,000 years, 20 years, 2,000 years, no matter how long. China has learned so much from America, from Europe. But China still repeated European mistakes, American mistakes, Japanese mistakes. So what's the purpose for us to learn the history? So what the Chinese were told in the class? So that is a very good, that is my concern and my question. I always ask my students, what do you learn? And why do you say we have to pay the cost? Why do we say we need to learn something from outside, from our ancestors, from history? But nobody answered my question. So the China, yes, and China faced a lot of difficulties. My talk focus on China's relation with outside, not domestic politics. So because of this, that I need to talk about three things. Suppose China continue go smoothly at 10%, no, 8% GDP and something. China will be a great power. People say American economics, some people have a full confidence in China. By 2018, surpass America, I think forget it. 2023, I don't know. 2030, I don't know. But Chinese, Beijing's deadline is by 2049. Suppose by 2049, when PRC became 100 years old, China became real power. So what does that mean? So what can China convince the world we are peaceful, responsible power instead of challenging status quo power? So that is my first question. So what kind of grand strategy China should adopt? Second, and Chinese leaders, including Chinese people, should understand and know how to manage, how to behave properly and harmoniously. I want to use these words. And the concept should be changed. The old traditional Chinese Middle Kingdom, of course, nobody says China now is Middle Kingdom. That is false. That is false. But some people still believe China has a big population, has power. When China becomes as rich as America, China definitely can dictate something. That is totally wrong. I will explain why. The third thing that Chinese people and the Chinese leaders should understand, suppose we are powerful and we have capability to challenge the status quo, the consequence can China vary up? I really doubt it. So, because of this, and I put forward four things we need to understand the Chinese power. When we talk about China is the second economy, China will be superpower, China is We need to understand what does power means. What does that mean? I want to use one sentence from the former Chinese ambassador Fu Ying. She is a Mongolian, yeah. And she said, everything China looks like big, population, territory, military, GDP, but everything divided 1.3 billion people, China is very small. Natural resources, they have everything, but divided 1.3 billion people, China very limited. China has a GDP, but divided 1.3 billion people per capita, China maybe 120 or 112, but very behind. So even we talk about that superficial figures, we cannot forget, we cannot ignore the Chinese reality, population, and uneven development inside China. So this is the so-called the power cannot just power is not static. Power is moving, you can interpret the power from different angles. The second is that China's power resources cannot be equal to China's power projection or capabilities. Let me give you two examples. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a manager. I'm very poor at math and management. But I'm not stupid. Each year, I go to Aberdeen, my alma mater, to give a lecture because I love Aberdeen too much. Yeah, I told them if I die, my apartment in China now is 2 million RMB. So you can I will donate it to ivory. they are very happy, but they never see you die in this. But my books will donate it. I have a quite good small book in ivory. But anyway, so I love everything so much. When I was student there, I went to the chapel every Sunday without missing once, except holiday, summer vacation, winter vacation. I just like it. But anyway, so I took from Aberdeen to Amsterdam, from Amsterdam to Beijing. A gentleman from Germany, sitting beside me. We talked to each other. He was the German engineer working in China as a chief, as a CEO, joint venture company. He is the German side chief. And so I asked him, what do you think about the China's economic or Chinese production? He said, your country, production is okay. Productivity is very poor. Why? I asked him, what do you mean? Compared to who? I'm so sorry, I just give you an information, I have no any bias. You say, your Chinese workers just do, they were told. Emily told me, Lee, go there to clean the table. Yes, thank you. So I never go to clean, to find the job I need to do during the working hours. They are very passive, not creative, not active. Second, you spend too much in the library, in the office for the superficial stuff. Yeah, we are factory. We are not factory. We are not KTV. We are not a hotel. But the Chinese side make the CEO, make the factory, make the managers always so beautiful, so nice. It's unnecessary. Why do we pay the attention to the security issue, to the production, manufacturing issue? Second, and this is a scholar from Spain. And one day in the morning, I overheard somebody talk to China in English. I said, you're from Europe, but you're not from England. He said, why? I said, you speak very beautiful English, but you have an accent. If you are. So I asked, where are you from? He said, I'm from Spain. I said, okay, may I invite you to give my student a lecture? Because since I returned back to China, I have tried to invite different scholars from different countries with different background to give my students different opinions. Most are Americans, Russians, Europeans, German, no Spain. So he said, yes. So he gave a lecture. And we have very good dialogue. And my student asked him, what do you think about Chinese academic science technology? He said, this is exactly what he said. The Chinese technology is good, but the science is very poor. The science is very poor. I asked him why. Your Chinese is very smart. You copy everything. But you imported some technology, then you change, then you improve, then you make it China. But you never pay attention to the research. I don't know if it's true or not, because I'm not science and technology. It was very angry. The Chinese is very good in technology. Science, no. So this is what he said. In this case, I have made it. And this is from European, from America. Two scholars, but they have a very rich long term in the government. Susan Shirk. He was a former deputy secretary in America in charge of Asia human rights. He wrote a book, China Superpower, but before that, before superpower, fragile superpower. Fragile, yeah, very weak. The main idea, China will be a superpower, economically. However, China has too many social, economic, and political problems. So America should not worry about China. The rest of China should be concerned with if the central government collapses, who will control Chinese nuclear weapon, Chinese population? This is American first opinion. Second, Chinese citizen. He was very old time, very highly prestigious Chinese old time of China. he wrote a book, how to govern China. He said he has researched China, learned China for almost 50 years, but he still don't know how to manage China. Who is the boss? Who is China? The central government. The central government, the policy cannot carry on to the local. So many corruption in the world. The local government have no any creativity innovation. And of course, these are a lot of reasons. One is China, a fragile superpower, Susan Shirk. Another is how to govern China. So they two books. What I mentioned here, so China is powerful now in terms of economic GDP. However, please remember, power resources is not equal to power capability. Power resources is not equal to power projection. A German scholar, he's very good, has noted. He was in Nankai, gave a lecture to my students. My student asked him about what's the opinion about China. He said China is a great country, but China cannot fight. I'm sorry. No, China has not capability to invade, to challenge America. And he asked my students asked why. He said that China has a power, but China lacks short of capability. He's very good. Yeah, of course, he's a political scientist. So the third point is that China, I don't think China is a revolutionary power. Or because in the IR theory, revolutionary power means aim to challenge the status quo, just like Germany in the 1930s, Nazi Germany. So I don't think so. I think China has been eager, China has shown its eagerness, anxious to join the international society, to join the international system. Although the current international system is dominated by European, Western ideology, idea, institution. But China accepts that. Look at China's sovereignty. China is now one of the most staunch countries sticking to the doctrine of sovereignty, international law. China seldom challenges international law. Because these things, in theory, benefit weak power or rising power. So China tries to maintain that status quo. China wants to be a part of international society. So I was asked by that journalist after 30, 50, after 2049, when China become real great power, China will challenge that. No, I don't think so. The first point is that China faces the two things. First, China faces America. America is not one country, to my understanding. America is a country leading with, supported and allied with Japan in the Far East and South Korea, but South Korea is not so powerful. Yeah, economic is very good. Yeah, but yeah, and Japan, Middle East, Israel, cross-Atlantic, NATO. Look at the Chinese allies: Cambodia, Burma, North Korea, Pakistan. African countries definitely support China because, as Chairman Mao said, China entered the United Nations was helped, motivated by African friends. Yes, but in terms of the real confrontation, China is a old power. China is a single power. China has no. Russia, I don't think Russia sacrifice its national interest to support China to confront America. I don't think so. So China definitely, the consensus in China, we can never challenge America. But I never heard the Chinese leaders or any scholars say America is not only one country. America is the leader of a group. That is my opinion, not mine, because I studied abroad. Yeah. But so sometimes I feel I'm pretty self-satisfied because I always told my students, America is not only one country. Internationally speaking, not legally. Legally, of course, America is an independent country, but America has more international friends. China not only has America as a challenge, as a big so-called challenge, neighbors. So this, if you read, I don't want to spend too much time because I want to have a dialogue. To learn from you, I need to take your ideas to enrich my knowledge. So if you read the latest recent book written by Kissinger on China, the argument is that it is not good for China to challenge America. If China and America conflict each other, China will have many problems from neighbors. North Korea, South Korea, Mongolia, Russia, India, Vietnam, Philippines, Japan. All of them will ask for territory relocation. Even during the peacetime, it's still disputed with China. When the confrontation between China with another great power started, they cannot be silent. They just ask for the territory. Because after all, China has been there for 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 years. So in terms of historical legacy or historical burden, China has this big problem. America is lucky. So as we say, when America became an independent, American national security is free. North is big but very weak. South is populated but it's very poor. So East Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean, before the Industrial Revolution, before the high technology age, America is very safe. See, this is why we often say when America was born, he is a free security. Look at China. How many nuclear weapons are around China? How many countries surrounding China with China historical disputes? We don't mention about domestic issues. Only the neighbors and outside will have so many. So I do think the Chinese leaders now potentially they will challenge America with the potential lose a lot of territory with the neighbors. I don't think so. Because China, after all, Chinese wisdom, Chinese intellectual trace back to 5,000 years. Even during the spring, autumn, 20-year warring period, China already know how to balance each other, balance apart. So my conclusion is that China is a rising power. China might be, I hope my country continue growth. Economically speaking, financially speaking, even productionally speaking, manufacturing speaking, China will be a greatest power in the world. But in overall sense, I don't think China will be a great power like America in the 20th century, like America in the 1945, after 1945, owns money, owns production, owns nuclear weapons. Nobody, no, I don't think so. Suppose China has all everything, China is still quite a lonely power. So China should try best to involve that. So conclusion is thank you very much. 谢谢 and obrigado.
Thank you, Professor Wang, for this very personal take and very diverse take on the rise of China as a superpower or as a global power. We'll open now the floor to the questions.
Yes, please. Okay, from this gentleman.
So I'll start with Emil and then I'll move to David.
Thank you very much, Small. I have a quick question on the revolutionary power. You said China is not a revolutionary power, but that's only for outside, for international relations. Do you see then, because it's internally, would it use various policies that it learned from other different countries for social change or different changes within China?
Yes, definitely. Yes, when I use it, as I mentioned that when I use the revolutionary power, I put this concept in terms of the international relations. In terms of domestic China domestic affairs, definitely China must change. Otherwise, China cannot carry on old tradition to finish the international task, the new central task. That's impossible. So China must change. However, given China's big, heavy tradition and long history, big population, and even development, China's China political reform will take a different form, different formula, different way. We cannot just follow Japan model, American model. I don't think so. Yeah, so, but I'm not specialist on political science, particularly domestic policy. So China, of course, China has to change. Yeah, but that is yeah, different topic, and definitely in that term, China, I don't want to use revolutionary power, because revolutionary power is always because in China, in the communist ideology, revolution means change by force, violence. So that is not, I think China cannot go that, yeah, continue to do that. But definitely will change. Yes. How radical change or gradual change, that depends on Chinese people's demands. Yeah.
We're going back to a Taoist tradition of not
Yes.
forcing things,
Yeah.
making things happen without forcing them. So David?
I'm concerned about China adopting a U.S. model. Does any serious person still believe that the United States has demonstrated a responsible use of power?
And
And Kissinger,
Yeah.
your example, Kissinger,
Kissinger
is
so
that responsible? And Vietnam, you call that responsible use of power?
Thank you very
Has U.S. demonstrated anything since the Second World War?
Thank you.
Anything?
Thank
Name
you.
one.
Thank you very much. When I read the Kissinger book, Diplomacy, and I purchased every book written by Kissinger. When I was in Britain, the European students said, "Lee, why you read his book? It's really." Yes, but in China, it's very popular. Whenever he visited China, the media call him the old friend of Chinese people. Why? He opened the China door to
Modernization.
Yes. Yes. However, I definitely agree with you. This is the one potential that is. Because your question, I would like to go a little bit further. I agree with you. The new generation intellectual are a little bit dangerous. In China, the realism are so popular because in China we have about 17 or 20 scholars get PhD, were trained in America or in Britain. I'm one of them, but fortunately I was trained PhD in Britain. But we have 3 guys, they were trained by Kenneth Ward. Kenneth Ward is a very leading scholar in realism. These 3 guys, they are teaching in Beida, Tsinghua, and Nankai, the leading universities. They are big names. So they always promote the idea China and America must fight each other because it is impossible to make a compromise. So in the historical speaking, no any country could be finished the rising peacefully. So they always mention that. So that's very dangerous. But they forget you cannot only count on one theory. Even Kissinger already said in 1950s, nuclear weapon and American foreign policy. In the nuclear age, both countries has a nuclear weapon, can kill each other. When we can kill each other, why don't we need to use the weapon? So America have to talk. We have to use the diplomacy. Second, I like Peter Kazakhstan or Joseph Nye idea. China and America economically, we are so interdependent. The cost is too big if we fight each other. So these 3 scholars trained their students just like no any consideration, just realism. Realism means I must be win or you lose, or you win and lose. No win-win concept, no compromise. That is very dangerous. So this is why I would like to invite Emily and her husband to go to China to teach, to show them some, except Chinese words. We have another scholars, women around. There are many globalization theory, interdependent theory. Thank you. Yes, that is. So that is the Chinese will feel very embarrassing. Kissinger, Nixon, Reagan are very, very unpopular in the Western world, even in America. But in China, they are heroes.
Could say the same of Napoleon, also Hitler, also all, I mean, strong figure in history.
Yeah, of course, my hero is Bismarck, McNeil.
Any other question?
I would like
Yes,
to ask.
yes.
Well, I have listened to your lecture very carefully since I have been acquainted now with China. I would like to address one issue which is not your main field of research, but I would like to have your contribution to the role of the financial systems, or more precisely, the role of the financial system in China in order to promote China development. If you can give me any idea. I know it's not your, or perhaps we can exchange some opinions later.
Yes, and
Because,
that is not
I am a
my-
financial
I know, so actually,
economist,
yeah, you need
so-
to teach me instead of what I'm
No, not at all.
And,
Not at all.
yeah, but,
I would like to have the opportunity to exchange some.
yeah, but definitely, but I'm not,
concerning this.
I know
I
nothing
know.
very little
I
about,
know.
yes, but, yeah, may I ask you
Sorry.
this, question? Some people, maybe I understand your question properly. Some people say the Chinese now have money. China should play more active role in Europe or in America. But I really don't know that. And also, I don't like the term China rescue Europe. I think that term, I don't know, but I think that term may be too executive.
Okay.
China rescue Europe. But to what? Just for money or for the, but China definitely maybe can provide some loan to, I don't know because I have no any idea.
China, I believe China has enough wealth in order to buy some European debt. That's why.
Yes, that is
we
a,
talk about-
thank you, that is an
about
under table
the
discussion.
contributions
Yes,
of
yeah,
China.
that is a,
Have seen what
but,
they are investing in.
yeah, my concern is that can China, after Chinese buy the debt from Europe, from America, can they manage it properly, efficiently? Look at the Chinese, yes, lose money in America, and who get the benefit? High-ranking officials, they are children. So I really don't know. So many of high-ranking officials, they use public funding, public finance, public money, eventually for their own personal benefit. I don't know. I don't think that is a good idea without a very strict, transparent supervision or monitor system. Maybe idea is good, but I don't know. I'm very poor in economics.
Just to complement, I think there is a tendency, and especially I think it was the head of the China Bank that was promoting the idea of having an alternative currency, not only the US dollar as the reference currency. But despite all this discussion, we have a problem where most of the assets of China in foreign currency are in US dollars, so there was no diversification, not that much. And in the end, they are also in pension funds in the US that are not doing so well. So basically, it's not that easy. And the sovereign fund in China tried at one point to invest outside, and it was a blunder. So I'm not sure that it is yet the moment for China to project itself as a financial power. It can, I mean, it has, of course, huge reserves, but they are frozen in many respects. So,
Thank you very much.
Gabriel and BQ?
No, I just wanted to know if you thought that there was sort of an obsession in the Chinese leadership to gain superpower status, with disregard to the ecological and the social problems that you mentioned. And also, do you think that perhaps that this quest to gain superpower status perhaps misplaced in terms of what it would achieve? Or perhaps it should be more humanitarian?
I think I catch up your idea. And the Chinese, the new generation, the new leadership will come out next year. They are already, to certainly to, from time to time, on some different occasions, they already show their political agenda of priorities. Domestic social policy, first, try to reduce the gap between the rich and poor. Over the past 10 or 20 years, the rich people in China, they are really rich. But the poor people are still, there are many poor people. This is why the Chinese government, Beijing, they are so concerned about any social instability. So this is a big deal. Second, the education. According to what I told, that the central government try to improve the salary of the Chinese teachers, not only the professors and the teacher in the primary school. Yeah. Now in China, some teachers in the countryside, they monthly pay only $50 for them. But some professors, such as the big names in Beijing, in Shanghai, they pay them $40,000, $50,000 for 1 year. Yeah. But very few. Yeah, very few. Not because of your academic achievement, because of you have some position. So there are many. So the Chinese new leaders will focus on domestic issues. Two things: maintain social stability and improve the education and the living standard of so-called intellectuals.
Gabriel raises an interesting question regarding especially there was also an article by Gerald Segal that is now, of course, law in China that basically the title was "Does China Matter?" That was in 1999.
Yeah.
And it was already kind of the same reflection and showing that this obsession for becoming #1 or challenging the US was more in the mind of the Chinese leadership than anybody else, except a few people who wanted to go for business in China. But things have evolved since then, and I do believe that even for China, and we see that with what is happening with Liao Yukai, and it's more a question of being the dominant power in Asia, so being the dominant regional power. As far as it is, I mean, when it comes to being a global superpower, I think that's been an obsession. It's becoming less of an obsession, even though I think the 2049 maybe agenda is still around there, and it's symbolic, but in terms of, it's less of an obsession.
So yes, what many people are wondering is when they do reach the #1 position, saying what they will do.
Also, as Professor Wong said, there is this idea of it is a lonely power. And there was even a Chinese intellectual this year who said China has no friends, which is an issue.
No strategic friend. Yeah. Yeah, you look at North Korea is the only one country with the military treaties with China. Yeah, but North Korea always asks for the territory.
Well, the U.S. has this ideology behind its superstar power status. Do you think China has some idea of what it would do?
China has idea, as I mentioned that in terms, actually I did mention that in terms of power projection, the soft power, China still fine being active. If you like, we can discuss about China's thinking tank. China's thinking tank, actually the key thinking tank, very few. Yeah. If you look at America, okay, let me put this way. There are no Chinese, they want to study America. History, political science, foreign policy. But when we talk about the leading scholars who can play the role in the thinking tank, there are much more American scholars on China who are much, much better than Chinese scholars than American. Training and system.
So we'll finish, and then we will finish with the last question, especially because BQ is into a PhD on the regional power. So I think, and the role of China in the region.
Thank you very much, Professor. It was a very informative lecture, and by the way, congratulations on China's new aircraft carrier. The new aircraft carrier which is commissioned now. It's funny because Thailand also has an aircraft carrier. However, the region doesn't see Thailand as a threat with this aircraft carrier of theirs. And in your case, in China's case, they feel that China is trying to expand its power. It's a funny thing because Variag, well, the aircraft carrier came from the Variag, which is a very old, refurbished aircraft carrier with the Soviet Union, but still they fear it. So I think, and I feel for you because you mentioned about your peaceful rise. What do you think, my first question is, what do you think are the steps that China is concretely taking in order to ensure its neighbors that it's not really, it's a peaceful rising power? And number two, I agree with your statement about realism. It doesn't really help in territorial disputes, balance of power, self-interest. My question is, what do you think are the prospects for China to engage in comprehensive security in the region? Not focusing on territorial disputes, but maybe institution building with its neighbors, focusing on non-traditional security issues rather than territorial.
In terms of non-conventional, traditional issues, environmental and politics and drug and yes, China much more proactive, active and responsible. And confident. But in terms of traditional security issues, particularly with Japan, China appear quite sensitive or very traditional way, because the relation between China and Japan is very different from any relation between China. It's different from the relation between China with any country. This is why Japanese scholars always ask me, why China was defeated by twice by Britain and British and France? You never ask for, and also they burned down the summer palace, but you never ask for compensation and why you always mention Japanese, Nanjing, Shanghai, Shanghai? Why? My answer to them is very simple. Because European powers invaded China, take much stuff from China, but they never humiliated China. They never treated Chinese as dogs and cats. Japan, principle is treated China like a father to teach the son, you behave. So if you look at the history, China was humiliated in person, emotionally, physically by Japan, not by European, not by America, even not by Russia. So this is why Chinese people, including the nationalists or communists, they are so sensitive in dealing with Japan. So they cannot show, on any occasion, they cannot show China was weak. Because China was big. China was, before 1894, 95, China was, Japan, culturally, Japan was not from China, from dynasty. But when China was defeated the first time, okay, second time, during the Second War, Chinese people suffered too much. Yeah, so this is why second, China developed nuclear weapons, improved the military capabilities. This question has been asked many times when I was in Europe, in Brazil. Answer is very simple. Chinese weapons in the overall system, Chinese weapons is so backward. As China as a great power, economically, human being, territory, in terms of Chinese military, Chinese the hardware are so poor. So China has to improve that. China has no capability to take Taiwan. To be honest, if even America was not involved, China, of course, maybe now China can take, but China will still very hard for China. So, in terms of Navy and Air Force, I don't know. Some people say Japan is a little bit superior than Chinese Air Force and Navy in terms of hardware and training and information. I don't know. I'm from a military family, from Air Force. I strongly oppose to have I don't want to say the Navy. I strongly suppose China has a stronger Air Force. Because Navy aircraft is so huge. If you connect, it's also a very good target of a missile. 3 missiles can damage them. So why we have to spend millions dollars to build a very old, not very function well aircraft for what?
To train.
For training, yes. But China have to take the first step. If you want to run, you have to take the first step. No matter how stupid, how ugly, but you have to take that step. So China needs that. However, I don't think Chinese army, navy is so strong, is very strong, could be a challenger to Japan, could be a threat to Japan. No. In terms of army, now China is pretty good. I don't think that Japan or any country now can invade China. Yeah, navy, army to army. But in terms of the high tech, and Air Force and Navy, China is not that powerful. This is why the Chinese leader from Jiang Zemin until now, we must do our best to make sure we can not to be defeated in a high tech warfare. So so that means China have to improve that. Yeah, China never say we have a capability to attack people. No, China must develop the technology, military to the level, not worse, in the potential high-tech warfare. After Iraq, after American invasion Iraq and Afghanistan, Chinese army was shocked. The war will be changed substantially. So the Chinese concept, ideas, weapons were totally very out of date. So the Chinese leaders, Jiang Zemin said, we must improve that. Try to be good enough in a high-tech, limited high-tech warfare. Very, very bigger term. So China, okay, technologically speaking, medically speaking, strategically speaking, China is still pretty far behind from America. I don't know Japan, but if China confront with Japan, America definitely support Japan. They are allies. No matter American sell weapons or American involve the personals, but American definitely to do something. Otherwise, America has a big brother will lose face. So if America and Japan united, cooperated in confronting China, I don't think China has any chance to be a winner.
On this, we will end on these strategic considerations because we want to give also Professor Wang a break, and you can enjoy, of course, the toast over there and engage with Professor Wang in a more casual way. But before that, let's give a final round of applause to Professor Wang.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.